The Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications is called to order. Good morning, colleagues, staff, testifiers, and most importantly, good morning to the people of the Virgin Islands, and welcome to the first hearing of the Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications in the 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands. I would like to extend a special welcome to our new members, and we look forward to your contribution and insight that comes with a fresh perspective. The jurisdiction of this committee is a wide one, as it extends to not only housing, transportation, and telecommunications, but also to critically important elements of our infrastructure. As such, the specific departments and agencies that this committee is responsible for overseeing are the Virgin Islands Housing Authority, the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, the Department of Public Works, and the VI Waste Management Authority. Over the next 2 years, we will have the officials of these agencies before us many times to provide updates and to provide expert testimonies on bills before the committee, and to discuss critically important issues and projects for which the agencies are responsible for. We are in an environment in which the swift and efficient utilization of federal and local resources is of paramount importance. Therefore, the committee will be vigorous in exercising its oversight responsibilities to ensure that the best interests of our people are served. Today, we will be hearing from the Department of Public Works regarding its operations and personnel, and the status of road repairs, public ground transportation, and inter-island ferry operations, cemeteries, engineering services, and other areas of the department's responsibility. We will also be hearing from the Waste Management Authority, which will also provide critically important updates regarding our solid waste collection and our wastewater infrastructure. In our next 2 hearings, we will be addressing housing and telecommunication issues. Before we begin today's session, I would like to remind everyone that we are closing out Black History Month and preparing to begin VI History Month. The struggles and the contributions that our ancestors have made are what paved the way for us to be here at this moment. And the work we do today will shape the future for our children tomorrow, and will stand at the record by which we are judged. So I ask you to join me in a moment of silence as we honor those who have gone before and pledge to redouble our efforts on behalf of our people. So I'm going to take a couple of seconds, moment of silence right about now. Thank you. Before I move forward, I have a delegation in the chambers from the Dominican Republic, San Pedro de Macorís. Maida, can you please stand? And I'm going to introduce them briefly. They're here in the territory doing some training and other initiatives. Colonel Dr. Altagracia Hernandez, Major Alexandra Navarro Gil, Major Maria Mabel Navarro Gil, Lieutenant Colonel Jose Francisco Ortega M, First Lieutenant Jamer Trinidad Conner, First Lieutenant Flavio Guevara, Director of Civil Defense Starlene Leher, and Colonel Angel Jimenez, Brigadier Commander. Thank you for visiting us and spending some time here with us, and I hope you enjoy your time here in the territory, and I hope the training goes well. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Madam Clerk, can you please read the agenda for the record? And before you begin, I want to acknowledge also Senator Samuel Carrion. Thank you for being here, sir. Nice to always see you. You may proceed, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Agenda, Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications, Friday, February 28, 2025, Earl B. Otley, Legislative Chambers, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. Call to order, roll call, reading of the agenda, Block 1, updated and discussion on key matters related to the operations of the Department of Public Works, providing the department's short and long-term goals, staffing updates, transportation and bus route extensions, ferry operations, engineering services to the GVI agency, and the current state of the territory's road, bridges, and cemeteries, as well as challenges the department is facing and their plans to address them to better serve the residents of our territory. Invited testifiers, Honorable Derek Gabriel, Commissioner, Department of Public Works. Lunch, Block 2. Discussion on the operation of the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority as it relates to their plans and priorities for the coming year. Updated on the status of staffing, payroll challenges, and vendor payments, in addition to the status of tipping fees, wastewater treatment plants, pump station operations, and capacity, landfills within the territory, garbage collection, oil collection, and other challenges the agency is facing, along with their plans to overcome them to better serve our community. Invited testifiers, Darryl Griffith, Interim Executive Director, Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority. This concludes the reading of the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The committee stands in recess for 10 minutes. We're back on the record. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll? Roll call.
Roll call. Senator Clifford A. Joseph Sr. Senator Clifford A. Joseph Sr. Senator Joseph Sr. absent. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. Senator DeGraff present. Senator Ray Fonseca. Senator Fonseca present. Senator Maurice C. James. Senator James absent. Senator Carla Joseph. Senator Joseph absent. Senator Cook A. Ville. Senator Ville absent. Senator Marvin Blyden. Senator Blyden present. Mr. Chair, there are 3 present, 3 absent, 4 absent, I'm sorry.
Very well, Madam Clerk. Are there any correspondence states to be read into the record?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Please proceed.
Letter dated February 26, 2025, from the Honorable Carla J. Joseph, Senator, 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands, to the Honorable Marvin A. Blyden, Chairman, Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunication. 36 Legislature of the Virgin Islands. Capitol Building, P.O. Box 1690, St. Thomas, VI 00804. Regarding late arrival to Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications meeting. Dear Senator Blyden, please accept this letter as a formal notice that I will be arriving late to Friday, February 28, 2025 Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications meeting scheduled to begin at 9 a.m. in the Earl B. Otley Legislative Hall on St. Thomas. Thank you for your consideration on this matter. Sincerely, Carla J. Joseph, Senator, 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands.
Please mark Senator Joseph excuse until she arrives. And proceed.
Letter dated February 28, 2025, from Honorable Maurice C. James, Esquire, Senator, to Honorable Marvin A. Blyden, Chairman, Committee of Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunication, 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands, Capitol Building, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, 00802. Dear Senator Blyden, as a member of the Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunication, I have been invited to participate in the CSG East Housing Summit taking place today. This summit will focus on exploring solutions to the ongoing housing shortage and affordability crisis. Regrettably, this commitment prevents me from being present at today's Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications hearing on Friday, February 28, 2025. I sincerely apologize for any inconvenience my absence may cause and appreciate your understanding. I wish the committee a productive and insightful hearing. Sincerely, Maurice C. James, Esquire, Senator, 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands.
Please mark Senator Maurice C. James as excused.
Letter dated February 28, 2025, from the Honorable Clifford A. Joseph, Sr., to Honorable Marvin Blyden, Chair Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications, 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands, Capitol Building, St. Thomas, VI 00801. Dear Chairman Blyden, please accept this correspondence as a formal notice and apologies for my absence from today's Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications meeting, scheduled to begin at 10 a.m. in the Earl B. Otley Legislative Chambers on the island of St. Thomas. As you are aware, as Vice Chair of the Committee of Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications, I am attending the CSG East Housing Summit in Boston to discuss solutions to the housing shortage and affordability crisis. Please mark me as excused and forward any documents relative to this meeting to my office for my attention. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. I appreciate your consideration and the opportunity to represent this committee at the summit. Lastly, I will take this opportunity to wish you a successful meeting today. Sincerely, Honorable Clifford Joseph, Vice Chair, Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. What the new count?
There are 3 members present, 1 absent, 3 excused.
Thank you so much. We are going to proceed. Let me just state for the record also that Senator Kurt A. Vielle is on his way in transit on another airline. He was supposed to be here early, but Seaborne Airline has issues, so they canceled all of their flights. But he was on Teams, and he will be marked as soon as he gets here. Let me speak to the CSG that's referred in a correspondence from Senator Mike co-chair, Senator Clifford Joseph, and Senator Maurice James. They did go to a conference with the Council of State Government, and they deal with a lot of pending matters in terms of housing issues, and that's a very good conference. I would have been there, but I have a hearing, but nonetheless, it's important that they attend as the co-chair and former co-chair and see exactly what new in the industry and what assistance they can bring back home in respect to housing issues in the territory. So I wish them the best, success on their trip, and a safe return back to the Virgin Islands. Again, good morning to the people of the Virgin Islands. We did have a late start because, as I said, Seaborn had some issues, and at the same time, we had our own challenges. But nonetheless, we're going to begin. Good morning, Commissioner Gabriel. Let's do a mic check. Please state your name and title for the record along with your colleagues, and then we're going to proceed with the testimonies.
Good morning. My name is Derek Gabriel. I am the Commissioner of the Department of Public Works.
Good morning.
Good morning. Carol Overson McGregor, Deputy Commissioner of Transportation, Department of Public Works.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Jomo McLean, Highway Program Manager, Department of Public Works.
Good morning. And there's no one on Teams, correct?
No, just the three of us.
Okay, well, you may proceed with your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Senator Marvin Blyden, Chairman of the Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications, committee members, all other senators in attendance today, all those seated in the Senate chambers, and those in the listening and viewing audience. I am Derek Gabriel, the Commissioner of the Virgin Islands Department of Public Works. With me today are Deputy Commissioner of Transportation, Carol Overson McGregor, and Federal Highway Program Manager, Jomo McLean. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on the Department of Public Works' ongoing efforts to improve and enhance infrastructure.
Commissioner, I'm sorry. Since you haven't gone that far as yet, I neglected to recognize my colleagues on the Big Island of St. Croix because Senator Francis has been there for some time. Good morning, Senator Francis. And I think I just saw Senator Franklin Johnson enter. So good morning, colleagues, and I appreciate you being here. They're non-committee members, but they are here.
Yes.
So thank you so much, sir. You may proceed. I'm sorry.
I'll just start from the top of the second paragraph. Okay.
Please.
Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on the Department of Public Works' ongoing efforts to improve and enhance infrastructure, the status of transportation programs, and cemeteries across the U.S. Virgin Islands. We are making significant strides in road rehabilitation, drainage improvements, bridge construction, and public transportation programs. We are pleased to highlight key achievements and ongoing projects demonstrating our unwavering commitment to building a more resilient and sustainable transportation network for our residents and visitors. While my team and I testified before the Committee on Budget, Appropriations, and Finance on February 18th, 2025, today will allow us to have a deeper discussion focused on this department. First, let me congratulate our 2025 Employees of the Year. On St. Croix, we have Mr. Brian Hendrickson from the Division of Operations, and on St. Thomas, we have Mr. Kelvin Pickering from the Division of Transportation, VITRAN. These employees were nominated by their managers and peers for their commitment to professionalism, customer service, teamwork, innovation, and leadership. We thank them for being shining stars in the department. Over the past year, the Department of Public Works has continued our substantial progress in maintaining and rehabilitating our transportation infrastructure throughout the territory. The permanent bridge on East Airport Road officially opened to traffic on February 3rd, 2025, and the temporary Route 669 bridge adjacent to the Agricultural Fairgrounds reopened on February 14th, 2025, just in time for AgriFest 2025. These bridges now join the list of reopened bridges, along with the Altona Lagoon and the Queen Mary Highway bridges. Work on the remaining bridge continues. It is anticipated that construction will be complete by September 2025. The bridge projects are managed by Eastern Federal Lands, a Federal Highway Administration division within the U.S. Department of Transportation. DPW is a liaison between the Federal Highway Administration, local contractors, and the community. The notice at McIntosh Drive. The notice to proceed was issued to Marco St. Croix on January 27th, 2025, and a pre-construction meeting was held on February 3rd, 2025. The contractor has already started grubbing and clearing certain areas in anticipation of significant scope items beginning in March 2025. The project scope includes pavement rehabilitation for the entire Ethel McIntosh Memorial Drive, drainage improvements, retaining wall reconstruction, guardrail replacement, signage, and striping, with an estimated completion date of September 2026. The Clifton Hill Connector Project. This project is in its final phase with dedicated turning lanes on Melvin Evans Highway and paving scheduled for completion by April of 2025. Most utility relocation has been complete. The streetlight repairs are approximately 80% completed, with approximately 100 poles remaining to be installed once delivered. The contractor expects to receive the new poles and complete installation within the next 3 months, by May of 2025. We anticipate full completion of all scope items by July 2025. Airport Road. Work on Airport Road began on December 9th, 2024, and is approximately 70% complete. The project includes milling, paving, and striping of the 3-mile-long roadway. West Airport Road has been milled and paved, while sections of East Airport Road remain. We anticipate that this project will be closed out in March of 2025. This project was awarded to Marco St. Croix. Christiansted Roads. In Christiansted, DPW contractor VI Paving, Inc. has completed all Phase 2 roads except for King Cross Street. The roadways included in Phase 2 of this project were Queen Cross, King, Strand, Queen, New, West, and Smith Streets. This project included milling, minor drainage improvements, resurfacing, and striping. Frederiksted Roads. We have recently initiated the solicitation process for the Garvey Frederiksted Roads project. This project includes minor drainage improvements, pavement milling, resurfacing, and striping of Queen, King, and Strand streets in Frederiksted. The St. Croix Vitran Maintenance Building, Phase 2. The original contract for this project was terminated on October 28th, 2004. The project is now out for resolicitation. A pre-bid meeting and mandatory site visit occurred on January 31st, and the solicitation will close on February 28th, 2025. We expect construction to resume in August of 2025. Welcome to St. Croix Sign and Landscaping Project. The department recently solicited a project to design, install, and maintain a welcome sign and decorative landscape at the East Airport Road intersection on St. Croix. The solicitation closed on February 14th, and a contractor will be selected next. This project aims to enhance the area's aesthetic appeal and provide directional information. Veterans Drive Improvements Phase 2A. This project proposes to widen and revitalize Veterans Drive to provide a tree-lined, 4-lane divided roadway with a waterfront pedestrian promenade that simultaneously addresses Charlotte Amalie congestion and failing infrastructure problems while creating a signature pedestrian-friendly environment. The proposed work will cover an area from the west of Tolbud Gata near Vendors Plaza to Hospital Gata near Fort Christian parking lot. This project will be managed by the Eastern Federal Lands Division, a federal highway administration division within the U.S. Department of Transportation. The bid documents have been reviewed and are now complete. Eastern Federal Lands has submitted the acquisition plan for certification and approval to the Federal Lands headquarters. Once approval is obtained, they will begin the solicitation process. The Veterans Drive resurfacing of certain segments. This project includes patching, milling, paving, and striping to include crosswalks on segments of Veterans Drive from Emile Griffith Park eastward to the bus stop at the southwestern end of the Fort Christian parking lot. About 50% of the work is completed. DPW anticipates having this maintenance project complete in March of 2025. The First Avenue roadway and drainage improvements. Work continues on this project by the contractor Island Roads. This past month, the contractor installed 213 linear feet of curb and gutter, 2 drop inlet catch basins, and 2 12-inch diameter drainage pipe laterals on the north side of the road in work zone number 9. The contractor completed the placement of asphalt in work zones number 7 and 8, which extends between 2nd and 4th Street. Traffic has been diverted between 1st and 2nd Streets, and the road is currently open to vehicular traffic from 2nd to 10th Street. The contractor is currently working in Work Zone 9, which extends between 1st and 2nd Streets. This project is approximately 59% complete. However, due to challenges with the failing waste management infrastructure in the area, we anticipate extending the project to fall of 2025 via a change order. Charlotte-Amalie Town drainage improvements. Work continues on this project by the contractor, Island Roads. This past month, the contractor replaced the damaged box culvert at the intersection of Raditz-Gata and Wimmelskafsgata on Back Street. Crystal and Raditz-Gata were paved, and Island Roads continues to clear and clean the swales and V-gutters on Raditz and Crystal-Gata. Island Roads repointed and repaired 46 square yards of blue bit stone V-gutter swales on Crystal and Raditz-Gata, along with some segments of Wimmelskafsgata. This project is approximately 55% complete. Again, due to challenges with the failing waste management infrastructure throughout the downtown of Charlotte-Amalie, we are negotiating a change order with the contractor to extend the project through fall of 2025. Additional road maintenance on St. Thomas. During the 1st and 2nd quarters of 2025, the department will undertake minor drainage improvements, pavement milling, resurfacing, and striping several segments of roadways on St. Thomas. These areas include segments in Scott Free, Cookie Point, Contant, and Carrot Bay, just to name a few. Unfortunately, we are not prepared to share start or end dates for these areas today, but we will publicly share a comprehensive schedule of upcoming road maintenance projects in the coming weeks. Fort Christian parking lot renovations. The Fort Christian parking lot renovations involves trenching, installing water lines and valve boxes in the southern area of the lot, milling, paving, and striping. This project is scheduled to be completed in early April of 2025, ensuring the parking lot is ready for use before the 2025 Carnival festivities. DPW contractor Gray Civil, LLC, has substantially completed trenching and installation of new water lines for the Carnival booths. They are now installing valve boxes and will move on to milling and paving next. Once complete, this project will also include EV charging pedestals and new automated payment booths, bringing the parking lot into compliance with ADA standards. The Leonardo Trotman Drive. The design for this project is finalized. We revised the bid package to reflect the project's current budget, and now the revisions will connect the new roadway from the Weymouth-Reimer Highway to the rear of the Tutu Park Mall and Charles W. Turnbull Regional Library. Fish Fry Drive. The department was awarded a FEMA hazard mitigation grant to effectuate improvements along this area of Cruz Bay. The department has contracted a design consultant who is currently designing the proposed solutions to alleviate flooding along this roadway, including nature-based solutions where applicable. Once the proposed design concept has been completed, it will be submitted to FEMA for review and approval of construction funds for this project. In the interim, the department will perform maintenance resurfacing in the coming months. Centerline Road. Before the end of May, the department will begin minor drainage improvements, pavement milling, resurfacing, and striping of several segments of roadways along Centerline Road and East End Road on St. John. These dates are subject to the contractor's availability to mobilize to St. John, pending completion of other projects on St. Thomas. The Johnny Horn Trail. DPW's engineering division is developing a scope of services and project manual for a design-build solicitation for the roadway's road and drainage design. DPW understands the importance of this project and has made it a priority among the department's other transportation projects. The Cruz Bay restrooms. The design-build solicitation began on July 12th, and July 12th of 2024, and a pre-bid meeting and site visit were scheduled for January 22nd, 2024. Bids were submitted by February 29, 2024, and the evaluation process occurred on March 8, 2024. The evaluation committee discussed the lack of competition, only receiving one proposal, and the respondents' lack of relevant experience in construction and the overall costs being over the agency's budget. The committee agreed that DPW would revise the scope and solicit the project again to obtain more competition and comprehensive proposals. We anticipate the project being resolicited in March of 2025. Transportation initiatives. The department is soliciting a qualified firm to deliver a detailed, comprehensive planning transit study or comprehensive transit operational plan analysis that evaluates, improves, and expands DPW's public transportation system within the Virgin Islands. This study will help the department to align with modern transportation needs, ensuring operational efficiency and enhancing accessibility and safety. This project will also include a feasibility study for a transit transfer station and micro-transit service. The study will provide a strategic framework to enhance ADA transit services, ferry boat transportation, public bus services, and coordination with traffic light control systems. It also complies with the Federal Transit Administration's procurement regulations and includes strategies to maximize the effectiveness of our federal funding. Our Transportation Master Plan update. Under this task order, our consultant, WSP, will undertake the agreed scope to develop the 2050 Comprehensive Transportation Master Plan. They will collect recent data, evaluate projects completed from previous efforts, prioritize projects, and update the recommendations presented in the 2040 Comprehensive Transportation Master Plan. DPW staff will aid in identifying potential sources of relevant information, including the primary public and private agencies and contacts within the individual agencies. WSP will use the existing conditions data to project future conditions, which will forecast the 2050 transportation demands, and then use the demand forecast to identify the necessary transportation infrastructure improvements that will address the projected future transportation impacts. In 2021, the USVI passed Bill number 34-0087, also known as the USVI Complete Streets Act of 2022, providing for a complete streets policy and creating a complete street task force within DPW to aid in the development and implementation of strategies to increase the use of complete street models. In line with this legislation, and as an initial step towards achieving the mandate of this bill, WSP will assist DPW in developing a complete streets policy and a pipeline of complete street projects based on the analysis performed as a part of the Transportation Master Plan. WSP will be on island next week to have our project kickoff. The spirit of 1733. Investment in public transportation continues to be a central focus for the department. The 300-passenger ADA-compliant Spirit of 1733 will be delivered next month, marking a significant milestone in our commitment to inter-island transportation. This ferry, the third of the department's fleet, will service Route 32M between Cruz Bay, St. John, and Red Hook, St. Thomas. Designed specifically for the unique maritime conditions of the Virgin Islands, this vessel represents a significant step forward in improving commuter accessibility between the islands. The ferry, designed and fabricated by Gulf Craft LLC in Franklin, Louisiana, is completed and will begin the required dock and sea trials and the U.S. Coast Guard inspections next week. Earlier this week, Jomo and I visited the shipyard to conduct one of the final owner's inspections before completion. The ferry is scheduled to begin dock and sea trials next week, and barring any setbacks, will be in the territory and in service by June of 2025. As we are still in the procurement phase, I cannot disclose the ferry's operator. I want to recognize and thank Assistant Commissioner Ruben Jennings, Deputy Commissioner Carol Overson McGregor, Chief Procurement Officer Kisma Peterson, and Mr. Jomo McLean, and their respective divisions for their hard work on this project. It took a lot of coordination and effort to bring this to fruition, and words cannot adequately express my sincere appreciation and gratitude. The St. Thomas St. Croix Ferry. In keeping with the department's mission of transforming connectivity, the department will use Garvey bonds as the financial tool to fund the fabrication of a St. Croix St. Thomas ferry. This addition will provide a crucial link between the districts while addressing inter-island connectivity. The ferry will allow passengers to travel with their vehicles, which adds an additional convenience. The final design and cost estimates are expected to be completed within 30 days. I want to thank the 35th Legislature for approving this landmark legislation, paving the way for the territory's second Garvey issuance later this year. The department has a procurement contract with Model 1 Commercial Vehicles, Inc. for 9 medium-duty buses for both districts. scheduled to begin manufacturing this month. The buses are expected to be delivered within the next 18 months and will have 28 passenger seats and 2 designated wheelchair locations and will meet ADA requirements for public transit. The department has plans to procure additional fixed-route buses to replace its aging fleet. Paratransit buses are also scheduled for procurement this fiscal year. It is important to highlight that this contract was the department's first utilizing a state cooperative purchasing contract, a procurement method that allows eligible entities to use available funds to purchase from pre-approved industry partners across jurisdictions. Challenges. Heavy rainfall throughout 2024 has significantly impacted road and drainage systems throughout the territory. The territory typically receives 20 to 40 inches of rain annually, but the amount was much higher last year. It is estimated that we received 20 inches above the annual average, amounting to about 40 to 60 inches of rain, depending on the island and localized area. The department has begun actively responding to these challenges by clearing down trees, debris from guts, landslides, and mudslides, and addressing damage to critical roadways, including Centerline Road on St. John, Bolongo Road and Nick Friday Drive, Fortuna, and Solberg on St. Thomas, just to name a few. However, that is not enough. With no federal dollars currently designated, we will need the help of this body to fund repairs to other areas. We acknowledge the ongoing need for vegetation control along roadways. While we have made some progress over the past few months, we have plenty more work to do in this area. Later this year, the department anticipates acquiring its own sidearm cutter to help with vegetation management in St. Croix. We have also been actively discussing leveraging our combined resources to tackle this challenge with the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority. In the next 30 days, the department will publish our roadside contractor schedule for greater public visibility and awareness of the program. We also encourage the public to continue to use the department's website, dpw.vi.gov, to report areas of concern. Staffing update. Like much of the government, the department faces the challenge of staff attrition due to retirement, relocation, or other job opportunities. The problem has manifested in the transportation, operations, and engineering divisions. Over the past 12 months, DPW has lost 30 employees in these areas alone. Critical positions like mass transit operators, general maintenance workers, mechanics, engineers, and project managers remain unfilled, which poses problems in keeping our roadways actively maintained, buses on the road, and projects managed. DPW has been brainstorming ways to fill these positions in conjunction with the Division of Personnel, the Office of the Governor, and other partners. Still, we recognize the challenges that specific job requirements and lower salaries pose. Even considering these challenges, I want to thank all our staff, particularly in these key areas, for all they do daily to keep the department's mission and mandates moving forward. In January of 2025, I appointed a new CIP administrator, Ms. Cherise Penn, to lead our team of engineers working on capital improvement projects throughout the territory. We continue to serve our GVI partners with their requests for engineering services and have procured several task orders for engineering services to address our current engineering shortfall. As always, I want to close by first thanking the men and women who serve in the Department of Public Works. I cannot thank you enough for your commitment to serving our community. I recognize our job is often thankless, but I salute you for your work every day. To the public, thank you for your patience, trust, and understanding. Dealing with closed roads, bridges, detours, and changed traffic patterns is frustrating. This frustration and pain represent progress that will lead to generations of growth. The Department of Public Works remains dedicated to enhancing our residents' and our visitors' quality of life by improving roads, bridges, drainage systems, and public transportation. We recognize that challenges remain, but we will continue to make meaningful progress through collaboration with stakeholders and steadfast commitment to our mission. Despite the challenges mentioned above, it is vital to recognize the progress that made territory-wide. Residents are seeing recovery dollars manifested in new neighborhood roads, temporary and permanent bridges, rehabilitated parks and facilities, improved cemeteries, and enhanced beautification. Federal collaboration is delivering growth in our ferry program in ways we could have never imagined possible and will lead to improved and affordable inter-island and inter-district travel. The foundational pieces of the department's multimodal transportation plan and the comprehensive transportation plan are finally taking shape. Thank you for your time and support. My team and I will remain and are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Gabriel, for your testimony. But before I begin, I said Gabriel. I apologize for butchering your name. Before I begin, though, let me again recognize my two colleagues that were here for me very early, Senator Angel Boquez and Senator A.V. Lewis. Thank you so much, non-committee members, for being here first and on time. Thank you so much. But before I go to the line of questioning, let me give the lineup, and then I'm going to ask a couple questions to you, Commissioner. The lineup will be Senator Boquez, then Senator A.V. Lewis, then Senator Kurt Viale, Senator Novell Francis, Senator Ray Fonseca, Senator Dwayne DeGraff, and then Senator Franklin Johnson. That's the lineup for now. Commissioner, in respect to your testimony, I note that you did not mention anything about the cemeteries, especially the one that's being worked on right now in St. Thomas. I see most of the wall is up. Can you speak to that, please? Yeah,
thank you for that, Senator Blyden. So our cemeteries have definitely been a focus of the department, at least since 2021. As you noted, right now we have the cemetery wall project that is ongoing. I would say it's about 40% complete at this point. And it is the scope of that project is to erect a wall around Western Cemetery number 3. We will also have signage, and we will also include minor repairs to other areas of Western Cemeteries number 1 and 2. That's a really important project for us, particularly I refer to the project sponsor as the Lieutenant Governor, Tregenza Roach, because it is something that he has been championing for quite some time. We have made significant strides also with erecting crypts and columbariums throughout the district. Throughout both districts, St. Croix and St. Thomas. It is something that we're focused on. You know, and you mentioned it earlier in your opening. We have to really pay homage and respect properly to our ancestors, and that starts with how we respect those that are in our cemeteries. Challenges do remain. I know we've spoken. Several of your colleagues and I have also spoken about the need to acquire land on all 3 islands. So that is also a focus of ours that we're working on.
And while we are there, you said we are 40% completed. What's the time frame? What's the timeline? What's the expected end date?
So we are pushing for substantial completion of the wall segment by the end of April. And then the final project should be done by the end of summer.
Okay, very well. And also in respect to the cemetery, of course, as you stated, we have been speaking to that. I know for some time I spoke to the cemetery in Smith Bay, and the landowner that's abut to the cemetery wanted to actually work with you guys in terms of giving a land for burial space in the St. Thomas district, because as you know, there is no land in this district. What's the progress with that individual?
So we have been we started with direct negotiations, but as you know, Senator, we have to include the Department of Property and Procurement, and there is a very specific process. So we have initiated that process. It has taken quite a while, but we are trying to find ways to expedite it. But I think also, even as we look for land, we also have to find more efficient ways to manage our cemeteries, because as we talked about, as you mentioned, it's finite land. So we really need to be better with our cemetery management, which is why we're looking at crypts and columbariums. We have seen more recently, a lot of our residents are looking at cremation, which does allow for, more efficient, again, burials. So we are also, we've been speaking with DPNR, and they've been exploring more sea burials as well. So it's something we're looking at all avenues. It is something that we're really pushing on, and even with we're trying to do GIS mapping and put that on our website. So the cemeteries are definitely a focus.
Well, thank you for that. We have 2 points of information. I'm going to start with Senator Lewis, because he had his point first, and then Senator Johnson. Senator Lewis, you recognize your point of information.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, testifiers. Good morning, Virgin Islands.
Good morning.
Mr. Gabriel, while you are on the line of talking about your cemeteries, could you just expound a little bit for me on your East Cemetery, the facility out there? A couple of people have inquired already and wants to know when it'll be open, you know.
The chapel?
The chapel. I guess, you know, that could be another revenue generator. I don't know how you look at it.
Yes.
But could you just expound on it a little bit, please?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So it is something that we've been making repairs to. We've actually gotten the cistern online and functioning. Water collection is ongoing. So we actually hosted a funeral in the chapel, I think, for the first time last year. It is something that's available. We are trying to spruce it up, as you mentioned, but it is a facility that's available for the public's use. And then just on that same line, we are hoping that this year we're going to be able to put back out the repairs for the chapel in St. Croix. That was a FEMA project that we had to cancel due to some procurement challenges, I think, in 2023. So we're hoping to be able to reissue that this year. And we are making repairs to the Cyril E. King Mausoleum on St. Croix.
Yeah, I just hope that when you get it up and running, please, you know,
Yes.
let us here know, and as well as the public. I would imagine it would come with a cost.
Yes.
As well. So let's get all of that ironed out and worked out. The Kings, thank you very much for your response.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lewis. Before I go to Senator Johnson, you said that the chapel is available. How are you advertising and letting people know that it's available? How are you doing that?
We haven't, and I think that's a problem, that we haven't really advertised it. So we are going to be doing that this year. You know, this is the first time in a while in the department where we actually have like staff in that division under operations that are working specifically in the cemeteries. So yeah, we will be doing some advertising on that.
Very well, thank you. Senator Johnson, you recognize for your point of information.
Thank you very much. Good morning to the testifiers. Good morning to my colleagues. Good morning to the viewing and listening audience. Once we're on the subject with cemeteries, I noticed we had an extension of the Kings Hill Cemetery, but the road is not paved. And I've been in there for two services that your car actually does slide all over the place. And I think when we're doing these expansion, we definitely need to make sure that we have the funding to put a paved road. But that's going back to I think it's a veteran section in that new section that you really can't even get to that grave site when it's raining in that area. And the second information I wanted to speak about was Frederickstead Wall. The wall in Frederickstead Cemetery to the southwestern wall, that wall has collapsed for some good years and I haven't seen no progress or nothing on that. So if you could fill me in on those two, I'll really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Senator Boquist, you recognize for...
Okay. Let me answer his question. So,
Please respond.
So I do recognize the problem with the lack of a roadway system, particularly in the Kings Hill Cemetery. To your point, it is something that was included originally when we were doing the expansion. Because of cost prohibitions, we weren't able to complete that. It is something that is still on the books, and we do hope to put that out to bid this year, actually. That is something that's actively on our radar, but I do appreciate you bringing it back up. On the veteran side, I have recently spoken to Director Patrick Farrell about doing some joint operations and possibly working with the National Guard, actually, to see if we could do some temporary fixes for some roadway networks in that area. So hopefully more to come on that in the next 30 days. And then you mentioned the walls at the Frederickstead Cemetery. So our next phase, if you will, of our cemetery rehabilitation is to address the walls in St. Croix, particularly, like you mentioned, Senator Johnson in Frederickstead, and the portions in Christiansted. So while I don't have a timeline on that, our goal is to put that out to bid this fiscal year.
Do you have the funding to do the wall in St. Croix? Because that's important.
Let me get back to you on that. I need to check, but let me get back to you on that. I think so, but let me get back to you.
Okay, very well. Senator Boquist, you recognize for your 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning to the listening and viewing audience, and good morning to our testifying panel from the Department of Public Works.
Good morning.
Commissioner, you mentioned several times in your testimony that several projects have been delayed due to contractor issues. And I'm curious to know what penalties or contractual clauses are in place to hold those contractors accountable for these missed deadlines.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, of course, all GVI construction contracts have liquidated damages, and that is the way that, we hold contractors accountable when it is their responsibility.
Very well. So let's talk about one of the biggest contracts, or the longest likely, that you've had to deal with. I mean, I think you inherited it. Let's talk about liquidated damages for Polly Joseph.
Yeah, so I appreciate the question. As a commissioner of the department, one of the things that we do is we really have to vet when you implement something like liquidated damages, because there's a lot of proof of burden that needs to go into that. And in this project, especially when it comes to Polly Joseph, we've been negotiating a number of change orders since I've been here, including the conditional letter of map review, the CLOMAR, which was a FEMA requirement. Then there was the a la carte menu that we did, which we actually came before this body to discuss. And now you have the this recent delay claim that we talked about the last time I was at the Senate as well. When you combine those with other factors, we as a government team, the GVI team, didn't feel like we were in a position to implement liquidated damages, especially when the conversation was ongoing with the contractor. And that's why I take it very seriously. Anytime you take any actions against a contractor, whether it's invoking liquidated damages, canceling a contract, even exercising change orders, we do take it at the department very seriously.
It's been a long time, Commissioner, as you know, and you are the commissioner, and I am the senator. But my suggestion, Commissioner, not that I understand your job the way that you do, and I respect you and your position, but in my opinion, I feel that the Department of Public Works, or the government, the GVI, should look into terminating the contract and using the bonding company, the bonding that they have, to continue to work with the subcontractors, put it out for rebid, and find another contractor to finish the job. It has become, in my opinion, a money pit for the government of the Virgin Islands. But that's just my opinion. If I may ask, Commissioner, could you provide a copy of the executed contract along with any change orders? Is that something that we can get from you?
So, of course, as part of the public record, what I would recommend, though, is asking the Department of Property and Procurement for it, as they are the custodian of all government contracts.
Okay, very well. I'll do that. So let's move on. In your testimony, you also mentioned that 30 employees in key divisions over the past year, including the mass transit operations and engineers, have sort of left the department. How many of these vacancies remain unfilled at this given point in time?
I need to get back to you with that number. Yeah, I need to get back to you with that number, but okay. I'll get it for you.
Let's shift over to St. John, Fish Fry Drive. You've heard me call you about this many, many times. I know that you're waiting for the pending FEMA approval. How have you moved since the last time we discussed this?
Yeah, the design of the project is really moving well. We've been having ongoing conversations with FEMA about it. The next step, as I mentioned in our testimony, is to do some temporary repairs. So those are coming. We will be, because it is a hazard mitigation project, it's a little bit different, but we will be pursuing temporary repairs here, I would say within the next 30 to 60 days. I understand that recently a private citizen actually made some minor repairs, but we need to do proper repairs in that area. Yeah,
it's a situation that really impedes traffic once heavy water comes from the skies.
Yes, we agree.
The 2050 Comprehensive Transportation Master Plan, you said that that's being developed to forecast transportation demands in the territory. How much federal funding has been secured for this initiative?
I'll ask Mr. Jomo McLean to respond.
Jomo McLean, Highway Program Manager. Senator, our task order with WSP is approximately just over $700,000.
Is there any percentage or match by the local government that's required?
No, it's 100%.
Okay,
federal.
very good, very good. Commissioner, we are here to help you. And one of the critical areas that I believe has always come up, especially during political cycles is the status of our roads. It's something that continues to, constituents call about from every given point in time. And let's talk about road excavation. As it stands right now, given all of these road projects that you have, the position of the department is, Mr. Chair, if I may, in your opinion, do you have enough regulatory powers to deal with road excavation issues? Because based on what I've seen in the code, it seems very vague. What are some of the issues or concerns that you have with how road excavation is conducted in the Virgin Islands, and how can you regulate it? How are you currently regulating it, or how would you like to regulate it moving forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question, a very loaded question, so allow me to respond, right? I think, starting with the Virgin Islands Code, I really think it's time that we look at revising that area when it comes to excavation permits, because right now, even the fees don't allow for us to properly hire staff to be able to manage those excavation projects and check on them regularly. Right now, I think everybody in this chambers and those listening knows the challenges that we face with Liberty, with the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority, with WAPA, and any other utility. That's waste management, or anybody else that's working on their utilities and the roadways. So I think now, especially as we are looking at all of the undergrounding projects that are to come, now would be a good time to look at revising those portions, even maybe upping the fees. Oh, and there's WAPA again.
Continue.
You see, you had to you see, you mentioned them, and you're happy.
They don't say leave me alone.
Guys, we live still, we still.
Oh, okay.
Live. Hold on.
Okay.
Continue.
So I think, so just going back to the conversation, I think now is the time that we comprehensively look at the excavation program. You talked about regulations or my regulatory power. I think we need to look at it from a different perspective, which is enforcement. And it's something that's never been addressed with the department when our anti-litter and beautification officers went with Waste Management Authority. So now we have no enforcement arm. So it really is an after-the-fact matter, or the most power that we have is to withhold future permits. And even to that, it becomes difficult when it comes to like the government utilities. We're not going to stop WAPA from fixing our water main at further cost. We're not going to stop the Waste Management Authority from fixing our wastewater main at further cost. So I think now is the time to have a more comprehensive conversation. I do think, I think I'm on record as saying, I do think that we need to look at possibly reinstituting an enforcement arm in the Department of Public Works. Several of I would say almost all of my transportation colleagues across the nation have that piece in their arsenal. When you look at our partners in Puerto Rico, in DTOP, they have a whole enforcement officer, including meter maids, parking people that issue parking tickets. They have people, of course, they regulate pipelines over there, so they have a more extensive regulatory entity. But I think it's time that we look at just revising or revamping the Department of Public Works to meet the current challenges that we have.
Okay, thank you so much for your response and suggestions as well. And remember, never mention anything negative about WAPA because they're going to turn off the power on you. Thank you for the time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Bolquist, for your line of questioning. And before I go to Senator Lewis, let me ask you, Commissioner Gabriel, in respect to the 30 employees that you have lost, what are the employee morale at this time? And how is it affecting operation, if anything? Speak to that, please.
So if I had to gauge it on a scale from 1 to 10, honestly, I would probably say we're at about a 6, maybe a 7 right now. I think a lot of it is it's the relentless pace of the work that we do every single day. And I think a lot of it, and we speak about it offline a lot of times, when you take an entity like let's say Vitran, what Vitran suffers from a lot is we don't have the resources. And we have an older
aging fleet of
buses, and that's a major challenge, especially when you have drivers and mechanics that are consistently dealing with down buses. the attrition of certain employees, especially as they retire, it really begins to take a toll. When you look at operations, the job is very intense. It's really, really, really intense. We are doing things. I think we have a really creative management team that is always doing things to try to improve employee morale, not just during DPW week, but I think throughout the year. We're always talking to employees. I know my chief of staff, Ms. Kenila Calendar, is always trying to meet with different divisions and find ways to boost morale, especially given the fiscal challenges. Because I think while I think everybody deserves higher salaries, I'm not a firm believer that morale improves just with a raise. It's the work that we do. It's improving the buildings. It's improving the facilities. It's making sure that our bus drivers have a modern fleet. It's making sure that we do things like continue to improve our fleet and continue to do things like add ferries, continue to have activities where employees can express themselves. I think one of the biggest things that impacts employee morale also is employees just not being aware of the emotional challenges that they face on a daily basis. It's hard when we talk about WAPA, but I mean, these jobs are hard when every time your job is mentioned, it's in a negative light. So that's why it just being honest, I would say is about a 6 or a 7, but we are meeting consistently and trying to improve morale.
But what the plan, though, in respect to the shortage, and what are you doing to onboard other individuals to join the team? What's being done? What's the plan?
Our HR team, I feel like, is conducting interviews just about every day. A lot of the problem, just speaking frankly, when it comes to our mass transit operators, there is a drug and alcohol requirement. And if you can't pass that, then you can't be a mass transit operator. Similarly, as we are applying for more federal funds, we are going back to implementing a department-wide drug and alcohol policy. And so, I mean, there are challenges there if we just speak plainly. But again, we are having a conversation with the employees. Every time I have a meeting with the different divisions, I try to encourage them to utilize the tools and the resources that are available to them through the government's insurance plan and the insurance program so that they can, become or get the help that they need when they do need it.
Okay, very well. Thank you for that. Senator Lewis, you're recognized for your 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning again to the testifiers. Good morning, Virgin Islands. Good morning, colleagues. Real quick, Commissioner Gabriel, you have any updates as it pertains to the Cancrine Bridge or that bridge?
Yeah, so we are making assessments and trying to see if it makes sense that whether it's repair or to remove it completely. That's really what we're doing. Of course, we kind of mentioned it earlier with the comprehensive transportation plan. Things are moving, and with Cancrine not being there, it may not make sense for a pedestrian bridge, but we need to do the traffic studies to be able to make an informed decision with the future of the bridge.
Okay, and I take into consideration, I still see in the afternoon times or even early morning times, I still see 1 or 2 students utilize it. So let's
Correct.
take that into consideration. And thank you and the team for enclosing it from people utilizing it. Thank you very much. Commissioner, on page 5 of your page 5 of your testimony, you talked about the Leonardo Trotman Drive. I think that's an excellent project that's about to come online. Could you give an estimated time when you plan to see shovel in the ground?
So we're hoping, just based on a timeline, it's out for solicitation. It's at PMP for solicitation right now. I'm hoping by about end of summer, maybe like September, because it is going to take some time to choose a contractor and execute a contract. So we're hoping by end of summer, early September, we should be able to see some movement there.
Okay, Ms. McGregor. Correct? Ms. McGregor. Just quickly, I was in St. John yesterday, and some senior citizens met me, and they talked about bus timing. Could you elaborate on that? Let me just give you a scenario. They said that when they go to a particular center, I don't remember the name of the center where they do activities and so forth, either they reach on time, but there's not enough time to even complete the activities or what's not there. Could you expound on that a little bit?
It appears that the seniors are talking about our paratransit service, which is the ADA accessible service for seniors and persons with disabilities. What they are required to do is select the time that they would like to go and the time that they would like to be picked up. So they need to let the St. John office know what time they would like to pick up.
Okay, cool. That's a paid service?
It is a paid service.